of mine are going to get taller than I am. That would be just my luck. It's just their luck, on the other hand, to have picked out two such wonderful parents. Adena and Violet, like all children, come from two different family traditions, and I think they're very lucky, because on one side are caring and thoughtful and articulate, smart people. This is, of course, the Jereller side of the family. And then there is the Jeru side. And before too many years go by, these two little girls are going to learn something about Jerus. And they're going to learn that the Jeru side of the family tells stories. The same stories. Over and over and over again. And then again. Now, this kind of thing can produce preachers, as it did in my case. And my daughter Marie, who has decided she's had enough of church today, once summed up the job description of preachers when I asked her what she thought priests do. She said, talk, talk, talk everywhere. So I have to tell a story again. This is an important story to me, but I know some of you have heard it over and over and over again and again. But you see, this is a story about baptism. And it's a story I heard in a sermon a long time ago. It was told about the time the daddy of these two twins was baptized. We had just joined the Episcopal Church, which I still love all these years later, and Luke was baptized at an Easter Vigil service. During that same Easter season, a story was told in a sermon, and I've never forgotten this story. It's a great story for a baptism. Now, I'm going to adapt one of the details of this story, and you're going to know why as soon as I tell it. Once upon a time, in the ocean, two baby fish were born. They were twins, girls. Their parents were very wise fish. They knew the ways of the ocean very well, and they wanted their daughters to learn the ways of the ocean. They often said to these twin baby fish, now you stay close to us. We want you to be safe. Stay nearby, and we'll keep an eye on you. But you know how young ones are. As these fish grew a little older, their sense of mischief grew too. Buckle your seatbelt, Christy. So, one day they egged each other on, and they waited until their mom and dad were feeding over in a field of kelp, and they gave them the slip. They darted around to the other side of the reef, and they hid, not too far away, but out of their immediate sight. But then all of a sudden, a strong current grasped those two fish and swept them far away from that sheltered reef in an instant. And suddenly they realized they were not in their familiar surroundings. They couldn't see their mother. They couldn't see their father. They were alone, just the two of them. They looked up. Nothing but deep blue water all the way up. They looked from side to side, nothing but deep green water all the way. And they looked down, and there was nothing but deep gray water as far as they could see. And they were afraid. And they started to cry. Well, then something wonderful happened. The ocean spoke. The ocean spoke to those two little fish. And this is what the ocean said. Don't be afraid. I'm here. I am with you. Don't be afraid. I will always hold you. I will feed you and care for you. When you breathe, it is I myself you draw in and out of your gills. You were born in me. Someday you will die and return to me. I am with you always. Don't be afraid. And then they were able to find their way back home, back to their reef, back to their mother and father. And that was a parable I heard in a sermon some 30 years ago, and I think about it often. It's a story about baptism. It's a story about Adena and Violet. And it's a story about the rest of us, too. Because you see, really, it's a story about God. I don't know very much about God. No one does. But it seems to me that God is like that ocean. We were born in the ocean of God's love. And every day we're held up by the ocean of God's love. And someday we'll die and return to that ocean of love. So what else is there to do but to live our lives thankfully and to live in love? Would you please stand? The peace of the Lord be always with you.